Welcome to the Deal Champs podcast. I'm your co-host, Stratton Brown, Mr. at Strat Daddy. We have Mr. Dean Rogers, and we have an awesome guest on today, a good friend of both of ours, Mr. Ian Horowitz, Mr. Equity Warehouse, Mr. No Shave for 2 years because he could never have a beard. But what is Deal Champs? Real quick, our mission here is to empower and inspire our listeners by highlighting real-life deals from people across the country, and this is in all different types of spaces. We also want to be doing interviews of top entrepreneurs and experts in their own personal fields, and we want to give you guys actionable insights that you can go and implement in your business right away. One thing that has been huge for me, Ian has helped me out so much in so many different areas as far as storage and real estate investing and education, life. He's been an absolute game changer in my life. He was a great mentor to me. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, go hit the like and subscribe button. If you're on the podcast app, go give us a 5-star review. Quick intro. My name is Stratton Brown. My Instagram handle is at StratDaddy. We have a 7-figure real estate portfolio. We have another kind of large marketing company, and then we show people how to get their first wholesaling deal in real estate off market. And the way I got started, I dropped out of college, didn't have any other life skills, ended up working for a guy, and it's the only way I had out. We have Mr. Captain America, Dean Rogers.
What's up, guys? One of your other co-hosts here, Dean Rogers. My story is I transitioned from the NFL to corporate to then real estate. Been investing in real estate for a decade now in Central California. Done over 550 deals, getting close to 600, and rental portfolio right around $10 million. And been coaching students how to get started and create successful businesses. You guys can always connect with me at deanrogers.com. And fun story, I just was on Bigger Pockets, episode 785.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Strong.
Nice.
Then we have our special guest, close friend of mine, Mr. No Shave, Ian Horowitz.
What's up, boys? Hey, what's up? I feel like I should tell my story, but that's the point of this interview. I'm just glad to be on here for this podcast. I'm just glad to be on here with you guys. I met Stratton through another group, and then I went and spoke at one of Stratton's events, and he said, "Hey, you're staying in this Airbnb with this guy who used to play in the NFL. Just hang out with him." I was like, all right, whatever. And there's Dean just, pumping away, getting ready for the event. And since then, we've all stayed in touch, and I've enjoyed this a lot. You guys, on the other side of the country, always inspire me with the stuff you're doing, and look forward to this podcast.
Bro, I forgot I put you guys up in the same Airbnb.
Yeah, man.
That was dope.
And you're like, bro, don't put me in with no bitch.
With the beard.
Yeah. I was like, please
don't put me in with someone weird, bro.
Yeah. And there's Dino, just ready to rage, smiles, having a good time, and it was an awesome event. We were in where were we? Salt Lake? Yeah, Salt Lake.
Dude, that was a super cool event, super cool people, and like the way you come off so insanely humble, Ian, that just the average person strolling by would have no idea what you've accomplished, which is insanely impressive. But just slowly but surely, without knowing your backstory, as we just peeled back the onion, just talking in the living room, I was like, holy crap, this dude is not only insanely smart, but insanely successful. And I'm just lucky to be in the same room with you. So.
Yeah, but isn't that that's it? When I would always sit around and think about what does life look like? And if I'm successful, Flash doesn't do it. Obviously you guys can tell Flash doesn't do it for me, so it's I want to be the dude walking down the street and just one of the boys, and it's oh, what's that guy do? And it's oh yeah, he's got his thing going on, and people don't really know. And look, there's downsides to it. We should be more vocal about our story and inspire others, but in the same sense, we're just humble, doing our deal, keeping our eyes and ears to the ground, and doing our thing, so to each their own. But yeah, man, it's just kind of I guess one of the morals we live by, of just always remain humble, and you can always be knocked off the top. I mean, you guys know you played sports at a high level, next man up mentality, and we just want to be that grinder, that just keeps getting deals done and keeps doing our thing.
Bro, do you have that Carhartt sponsorship yet?
They
owe you.
They owe. I've done enough podcasts now. They should send me free gear, but one day we'll find that. So
Hell yeah. All right. So who is this? Thanks for doing this, y'all. Active duty Army, previously a successful realtor, now working on getting to investment and development side. Whoever this is, hell yeah. Thank you for watching, bro. Or miss. Another clapping hands, and then someone else walking into an appointment. I'll watch this later. Let's go. Let's fucking go. The reason we were talking about this before, the reason I resonated with Ian is because me and Ian were a part of a group, and I walked in and said I wanted to buy a private jet. And everybody shit on me, and Ian's like, bro, I fucking got you. Let's fucking go. And then we proceeded to drink for a long time.
Yeah, well, we
and just talk about doing more.
We solve the world's problems around the campfire, you know. I mean, but that's what it's about. That's why you go to events. You know, I wouldn't know either of you guys if none of us attended them, right? And then you find the people that you resonate with, and you know, there's a lot of groups out there, and to each their own. Some go way life, some go way business, and we're big firm believers in that. When you own your business, like business and life are together all the time, and they both should be treated equally important. And I never want to shit on anyone's goals. Yo, Strat, you want a private jet? Cool. Does it align with your moral code? Yep, aligns with your moral code. Let's go do it. You know, but if it's going to affect your family or it's going to violate your morals, then like it can't support you on that. You know, so I think too many people. I don't know why I'm rambling on, stealing your show here, but I'm going to do it. I think just too many people are like, like I love a private jet, but then it's like, no, I don't need that, you know, and they kill their own goals before they ever get started. I mean, like, I'd ask both of you. I know I'm on your show, but I'm going to literally interview you guys. Like, did you guys ever think you would get to the NFL? Like, did you always have that mental capacity?
My goal was always the NFL from when I got into college.
It was one of those things for me, like as part of my story. Like I felt like performing at the level to get to the next level and always believed in myself, but I always had that chip on my shoulder because I always felt like I was underlooked. Like from high school to college, I didn't get looked at the way I thought. The way I was treated in college, I felt like once the coaches that were supporting me left to the NFL, the ones that were left didn't give me the same love and respect. And so it always just kind of felt like just was not really quite getting the experience. So yeah, I believed in myself, but it's still one of those things that's kind of like out ahead. And is it real? Like, is it possible? And I don't know, what'd you go through? Did you think you'd be buying, you were a firefighter and now like owning so many square feet of self-storage is pretty insane.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of the same thing. It's like it's always was that chip, you know, like when I first got started to kind of get into the story, you know, we were firemen for the city of Baltimore. You ever watch The Wire? That's where we worked. We worked in the heart of West Baltimore. When the riots happened, that's where we worked. And, you know, sitting around the firehouse, it's the same thing. You'd always tell the guys, like, yo, I'm going to get out of this place. They're like, you're an idiot. Okay. And it's like, well, I'm going to buy real estate. I'm going to rent houses. And they're like, yeah, but we go in those ghetto ass houses all the time. You're going to be a slumlord. I'm like, no, but we're going to do it a little different. Right. Like, everybody would always knock you down. It's like, well, fuck you, dude. I'm just going to go do it myself. And I think most people, or we needed that, you can't do it, being told to us to then go do it. But I've always had dreams and aspirations to say, yeah, I'm going to be successful, you know, defining what that level of success looked like. You know, there's some days I'm like, man, we took it way further than I ever expected. But then other days I'm like, all right, this is what it's supposed to be, and there's way more left in the tank. And, you know, things change as you get older with kids and more deals, more reps that you do. You know, your risk aversion changes a little bit. But when you first start out, man, I think me personally, and it sounds like you guys too, like I needed that, like, you can't do it. All right, I'm going to show you something. Let's go do it. We're just going to go fucking do it. And that's it. And we're going to go straight to the top. I mean, we started just thinking about having 100 houses. Now, like, 100 houses, like we buy 100 unit apartment buildings, we buy 100,000 square foot storage facilities. Like, it's such a small goal. Like, you know, I think I've talked about this before, like what you can think about, what you can accomplish in the future is so hard to fathom. But then when you look back on it, you're like, man, I did so much in a really short period of time. And most people's brains can't recognize that. And like, you know, you get a Grant Cardone, 10X, 10X, 10X. Like, yo, this guy's a jackass. Like, why does he always tell you to do that? We all get it. But in the end, it's like, you need to be pushed over that edge to go for a crazy ass goal. So if you fall short, it's cool, you know?
But I think the chip on your shoulder thing is huge, and nobody really talks about that. And I like Andy Frisella because I think he's a dark motherfucker, right? And like a lot of his motivation comes from that, right? And that was my sports background, bro. No looks out of high school, get to college, still no looks. Had to work my ass off for 3 years to even get on the field, right? And it's always chips. Same thing as you, Dean. Coaches don't give you respect.
Yeah.
You don't get any looks when you get there. Now you're balling. You're still getting underappreciated, right?
Right.
And then that same thing goes into life. Like, oh, someone tells you can't do it. And that, I think the dark side is really where a lot of the entrepreneurs come from. And nobody really talks about it. Like Tim Grover talks about it, right? So like, bro, that's what's motivating you. Like I'm here to prove everybody wrong and fuck everyone else. I just want to like make a name for myself as a big part of it too.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And, you know, most people don't want to go and visit that dark side, right? Like you need to sit down, like, and I don't know what you know, your audience is probably diverse like ours is. You know, whether you're successful or you're just getting started, you need to go down and figure out what's deep down there inside and what you're going to be made of. And, you know, I guess lucky for us, like we didn't go professional sports route. I'm not built for that, but I was built to go fight fires. And it's the same thing. Like, dude, you're going to meet, like, you're going to go running into a burning building. You're going to figure out what you're made of, right? Like either you got it or you don't. I'm not going back to the firehouse and listen to them guys call me a pussy because I didn't go through the front door. Same thing on the field, right? Like you always got something to prove. And I think that's why a lot of people don't get started, or that's why a lot of people build something and then they're like, yo, I got enough, because they're too afraid to take it to that next level. And if everybody would just do just a little bit more, man, you'd be really impressed by what you can build. Really impressed.
Well, me and Dean were talking about this morning. Like you don't want to lose what you have. But the only way we got to where we were is by taking risks. And it may not be some massive risks, but we still have to go out there and risk it and expose ourselves to something else to get to the next level, right? Because there's always an equal exchange of coming for it. And I'm not saying we're going for fucking moonshots, but we got to be able to give up some, expose ourselves to some downside in order to get to that next level.
Yeah. And what works for you today is not going to work for you tomorrow. So like what worked for us to go from 0 to 10 houses didn't work from 10 houses to 100 houses. And then what that worked didn't take us from $1 million to $100 million portfolio, right? Like there was things, and you got to go in there and you got to blow it up. And again, that comfort level, like too many entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter if it's real estate, it's business. Strat, I know you personally are in a couple mastermind groups where there's business people and there's real estate people. Like it doesn't matter what you're in. Yeah, you got started, but guess what? All those processes you have suck. You got to blow them up if you want to go from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20 million. Like each little step, you're going to have to go in and blow it up. And it sucks because basically you're starting over. You risk losing everything. You don't like, it's scary. Like as we've been growing, we have 15 employees now. It's like some days me and Dan are like, yo, what are we doing? Like we're working on HR shit. Like today we were working on state of Maryland requires like pension or retirement plans as an employer, but we don't have to contribute. And we didn't know this, but it popped up. It's like, this is the stuff we're dealing with. Yeah, I'd much rather be swinging a hammer and doing real estate, but you know what? This is the stuff that gets done to then build that business that then is completely autonomous, right? And when people look at real estate, they're like, yeah, I got 20 houses and I got cash flow. Yeah, but that's it. And then like Biden gets in office or whoever gets in office, Uncle Joe, Uncle Donald, it doesn't matter who, taxes get jacked up, inflation happens, your wealth's wiped out the next day. You should always be growing, always recreating, always refining your processes and just looking to get to the next level. And, I guess some people have it, some people don't, but it's what you got to figure out what you want in the end.
So how soon did you have 197 houses or 97 houses?
Oh, no, I don't know what we have today. We have like 200 between single family and multi-family. We have like, I don't know. I got to do the count. Roughly like 250 units. About 100 of them are single family homes. Yes, that's the residential portfolio.
And is that how you started? And it's all Section 8. I don't know if you want to plug your book. I don't know if you're still pumping the book.
No, yeah, we can take it way back, dude. Like all this stuff that I talk about today is not how we got started. I was in the other seat going, yo, dude. So we got hired in 07 and 08, Baltimore City Fire Department, pension cases, furlough days, closing companies, like just the end of the world, like the end of the world's happening every day at work. And so I said, dude, I got to find a different way. I got to secure a different financial future. I'm not going to count on our pension. So we started buying subsidized rentals, Section 8 rentals. First house we ever bought was $25,000. Maybe put 25 grand into it. I don't know if we did it right. We did it wrong. We were swinging hammers, painting, sheetrock, plumbing. Dude, we did everything wrong, but we did it right. And that was house number one. Cash flowed like $600. I was like, yo, dude, like I work overtime and I only get like $300. This is a no-brainer. 6 months later, bought house number two, and off we went. And we grinded it out in down dirty Section 8 housing. We did write a book. It's called Subsidized. You can get it on Amazon or subsidizethebook.com. But yeah, that's where we got started. We got started out grinding. And the way we looked at it was, we always talked about buying multifamily and other assets and like doing bigger deals, but we couldn't even relate to it because like, yo, dude, we're still scratching pennies together looking at these deals. And I'm like, there's no way. But we were buying single family houses. And you know what that did for us? That cut our teeth. We refined our process. We ended up with a project manager. We ended up with a maintenance guy. We ended up with an office person. We built our systems. We learned how to properly account. We learned how to talk to banks, right? We learned how to tell our story to the banks so we could get financing. I mean, two firemen get like a $2 million line of credit. We were like, yeah, dude, we're golden. This is it. Yo, we're out of here. But that's where we got started. But it was also, that was our financial risk tolerance at that point. Dude, I started with like a 570 credit score, dude. I had no clue I was going to refinance my house. The first house, I borrowed money from a hard money lender. I was like, dude, I'll figure it out. He's like, well, I don't think you're financeable on the back end. I said, bro, 2012, nobody's lending. I said, I'll figure it out. I'll get it figured out. And sure as shit, all in that time, I just kept grinding away, working side jobs, paying down debts, getting my credit score squared away. Boom, refinanced it. And that is what allowed us to continue to build to the next level, was grinding out single family houses. That's where we learned how to cut our teeth. It's where we learned how to build our processes. And that's where we learned what our toughness is inside this business.
Sorry, Dean, do you have a question before I ask another one?
No, you can keep rolling.
Dude, I'm just impressed by Dean. I get a little uncomfortable here, because I'm, like Dean said, I'm humble, but I just want to say Dean's studio, I'm going to fly your ass out here and like build my studio, dude. That's like something you see in YouTube, dude. It's like perfect, man.
It's all
The
lighting,
lights.
man. The
Yeah.
lights.
Oh, the lights, sir.
You can't understate that it all comes down to the lighting, man. Lighting is everything.
All right. I'll send
I can
me
help
the
you.
list.
I can
Send
help
me the
you.
list. Anyway, sorry. Let's go, Strat. Deep
No,
in the wormhole. I'm ready.
Did you guys leverage your portfolio to start trading into bigger stuff? Like, we're like, all right, we have a ton of equity now. I don't know how much equity you get in Baltimore, like appreciation-wise, over the last like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then you start to pull that out and really put that to work.
So like our wheelhouse, just for metrics, and I know you guys are in California, so your numbers are a little skewed, even though I did go to Fresno and I was actually surprised how affordable it was. But our wheelhouse was all into a house for 120 grand. They were worth 150. And then we would get 1250 rent. So our game was, we would go in there, we would buy them with hard money and private money. And then we would go to the bank, refinance them. Sometimes we'd have money stuck in the deal. Sometimes we would break even. Sometimes we would get 5, 10, 20 grand back. But all through that time, one thing we never lost sight of, and I think you guys probably know this from sports, but I definitely know this from the firefighting world, is there's always a plan B. Like, you always got to be thinking about what's next. Like, there's tools in the toolbox. Like, you're always doing something. So we never lost sight of flipping a house while we were building our rental portfolio. We never lost sight of wholesaling a house. Like, we had a 6-figure wholesale, right? Like, a couple of them in there. Like, we never lost sight of those things to be able to stack cash to continue to build our portfolio. And then as we were building, we built the banking relationships and we were stacking cash by doing these other activities inside of real estate that we knew. And we got presented an opportunity to buy a 7-unit building. And that was our first like true commercial multifamily transaction. And we did that one, built some credibility. and at this point we had friends and family like giving us money, but it was like super loose. Like, yo, dude, you got 20 grand. Like, we'll put it in this deal here. And it was real loose, just trying to figure out the game of like what that takes to take on private capital, what it takes to deploy it, repay it, keep track of it. So we were working through all that. But the way we stepped in to commercial assets was, a small 7-unit building. That small 7-unit building turned into a 34-unit building. That 34-unit building turns into a 76-unit building. That 76-unit building turns into, a storage facility. That turns into an industrial site, right? Because as you're getting a little bit bigger, you're figuring out how to bring in co-investors. You're figuring out how to get the proper debt. You're figuring out, what do you excel at? We excel at CapEx, right? So we know we can find projects that need a ton of CapEx. And it's like, well, we're the only bidder. So now we're in a one-on-one situation because nobody wants to take on this drama. And then it puts us in a good position. And then with our story of being firemen, our ability to get capital, our ability to raise capital, we did leverage it, but we didn't leverage it in the sense of, oh, we built this portfolio, refinanced it, took all that cash and did it all on our own. No, we used the team and everything around us, and we leveraged our resources to get to that next level.
Hell yeah.
How much of that time in the beginning, you said something that stood out to me that I think is an important thing to call out. You just kind of went in and said, I'll figure it out. How much of it was it you just figuring it out and just willing it to happen, as opposed to making sure you had all your ducks in a row, you had everything perfect, your T's crossed, your I's dotted? How much of it was it you just brunt forcing it through?
Yeah, day one was, I'll be honest, dead honest with you guys, and I probably don't tell many people this. Like, day one, project one was, I was just shy of 30. I had terrible credit. I was like, yo, bro, I got 15 grand in my name. I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to figure it out. And guess what? If I fuck up, like, I'll just be bankrupt and I'll be like every other guy around the firehouse with some sort of story. I lost it all and I got to work forever to pay this off, right? Like, that was day one. Going through that, there was a lot of brute force of like, yo, dude, we got to do this. We got to do this. But that's where, like, I'm definitely more of the fuck it, I'll figure it out guy. And my business partner's like, yo, dude, you need to chill the F out. Like, bro, we got to build systems. And that's why we work really well together. But I'd say in the first 50 houses was, we're going to figure this out, right? But then it was like, boom, you got the template, off we can go. Like, you guys could probably underwrite a deal in Fresno on the back of your hand. Someone calls you with an address, you're like, yep, I'll buy it, right? Like, you don't even need to look at it. And that's what we eventually got to, but you can't get there unless you're trying to figure it out. Dude, we would have got ran over. Dude, we're talking 2014 to 18, some of the hottest markets. Everybody's trying to buy real estate in that time. You just had to go, dude. Like, you didn't have a chance to make a decision if you were going to buy it. It's like either you're making the offer or somebody else is going to come and knock you off the horse,
Yeah. What was your mental state like in those first few deals? So you're at the firehouse, you might have said it and I might have missed it, but like, you stumble upon real estate, you start flirting with the idea of doing it. Where were you at? Were you just like, dude, I need something different? Or were you, I know there's something better and bigger for me? Or like, what was the push? Why not just stay at the firehouse and do that forever?
Yeah. And I know we traded stories in Utah on that couch of like, I'm sitting there asking you something similar about your career path, but it was the same thing. It was like, I'm about to have, like, my wife wants to have kids. I'm not going to send them to daycare and then have her work. I was like, yo, dude, I need to make some extra money. That was probably number one. Number two was like, dude, I love the fire department. I love I love giving back. I love truly helping people for what the core essential job of being a fireman is, helping people at their absolute worst moment. However, the city, the jurisdiction that I decided to work for doesn't value that as much. I'm just like looking at these guys. I'm like, dude, you got 40 years sitting around this kitchen table. You spent 40 years in this firehouse. And then it's like, I couldn't even fathom that. And then like pension systems are going bankrupt all across the country. We don't pay Social Security. Dude, I'm watching every city in California go bankrupt. I'm like, so you're telling me I work here 40 years, and at the end of this 40 years, and I know what I get paid today, and it's not affordable. And in 40 years, I'm going to walk out this door, and I don't know if I have a pension. I was like, yo, dude, no way. And I think there was some of it of like, I knew there was something else for me, but I needed this stepping stone to like it was almost like the military for me. It like straightened my ass out, gave me like a regiment to be like, hey man, you need to complete tasks. But yeah, initially I thought I was on the career firefighting trajectory of 30, 40 years. And quickly did I find out that, I think mentally it was the mental compression of the wife saying she wants to have kids. I'm sweating that shit. And then me going, there's got to be more to this world. Like I don't want to say money was always my driving factor, but like success was the driving factor,
What was the straw that broke the camel's back that finally made you leave? Because I remember, bro, you wouldn't leave. From when I met you, they had been on your ass for years, I guess. They'd been on your ass for like 2 years.
2 years,
why the
man.
fuck haven't you left your job yet? You already had like a $30-40 million portfolio.
Yeah,
and then you still didn't leave.
Yeah, we were probably somewhere between 30 and 40 million bucks. We had bought a 76 unit apartment building. It was worth 10 million bucks. We were all into it for $5 million, and everyone's like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, "I know, but like, I love being a fireman." Like, dude, we had this identity crisis, and oddly enough, I broke my ankle on a fire in an alley. I'm falling between human shit and drug needles, and I'm just like, what am I doing? And like, I got up, I was like, oh, that shit is broken, dude. And I called for a medic, and I sat on scene waiting for a medic for 45 minutes. And I was like, yo, dude, we're nothing more than a number. And I think I knew a lot of this, and I was like looking for that one thing to like make me real. I don't know if it was the universe or whatever, but for some reason I broke my ankle. The next week, my business partner, Dan, went to go away on vacation. He couldn't get off work. And he's like, dude, what are we doing working for this city? Like, I love the guys. I love our job. But, man, I don't know if I could do another 10 years. I was like, I'm there, bro. And we're like, yo, we can refinance this apartment building. We can walk away with 7 figures when we refinance it. And sure as shit, that's what we did. And from April, I broke my ankle in April, and we left in September. So it was a really short period of time. But, yeah, man, it took some sort of external force to stop me and make me recognize, right? Like the same way it probably happens with you guys in sports. You get that one injury and you're like, yo, what am I doing? Like, am I going to be able to get back? If I can't get back, like, what does that look like? And it's probably a similar type story. But I think you need to stop and break that momentum cycle, because it's so easy to be like, fuck it, that was a bad shift, but I'll be back in 2 days. It'll be fine, right? Or 5 days from now, it'll all pass, and I'll see the guys at the kitchen table. We'll do breakfast, we'll do dinner, smoke cigars, hang out, do our thing. It's all fine, and hopefully it's not a bad shift. And then you just need to break the cycle, man. You need that thing, and that's what it was for us.
Bro, so what do you handle and what does Dan handle?
Usually I put us in a deep hole and he digs us the fuck out. No, I do a lot of the forward face. I mean, obviously I'm a beautiful face here. I'm the face of the company. I go out, I do a lot of the capital raising. I do a lot of the underwriting and deal sourcing, and I kind of pick up what falls to the floor. Oddly enough, I handle taxes and investor relations. Dan handles the accounting, more of like a CFO type. I'm more of like the chairman type. We kind of co-CEO, but he's the CFO, dude. Like, he makes sure every property has a budget, every dollar's allocated inside of our budget. He forecasts what we're going to be able to get paid. He's more of an operations guy. And I think, Stratton, you met Ryan when you were out here at our event.
Yeah.
Ryan runs our operation, and he's like that third hand that bridges the gap between Daniel and I. And he's an executor, dude. Like, he sees something and he's like, all right, fuck it, it's getting done. And he brings our vision to life, and it allows me to explore, advancing our company, and it allows Dan to concentrate on making sure the company doesn't go bankrupt, right? And but we all need that yin and that yang to balance us out. And I lucked out that I have a business partner that's almost completely opposite of me and has the same vision and goals that I do, that allow us to work in harmony.
Bro, does Ryan go out to all the stuff down south? Like, does he fly down there?
He will. We've since hired another project manager. Coincidentally, his brother has come on board with us as another project manager. So it's kept Ryan grounded. His brother, his kids are a little bit older, so it allows him to travel. But he's got young kids, so he's been home. But yeah, no, he's been out to the sites. We've all been out to the sites. He's gone on his own to the sites. He manages all the projects here in Baltimore. He manages our project out in West Virginia. He oversees all the projects. I mean, we're in 7 states, all across the Southeast with storage, and he keeps pretty good tabs on it. He makes sure all the he's taking make sure all the employees are taken care of. Big on the culture inside the company and making sure things are getting done.
Where'd you find Ryan?
Good story, man. When Dean was asking, what was it like in the first 50 houses, was, we had no clue what we were going to do. And we were finding contractors, and we were doing deals out here. You guys got basements out there? I can't remember. We have basements
in
out
Utah.
here.
We do.
Not usually.
Yeah. So we have
Not
basements
in California.
and we had to waterproof them, so we could finish them. And Ryan was doing some demolition and waterproofing for us, and kind of recognized the fact that he was looking for something else. And we had some talks, and we said, hey man, you've done work for us. We really like your work ethic. You interested in coming on board? And we hired him as a project manager. And I mean, this is, man, it's got to be 7 years now, 6 years, 7 years. And dude, that was our first employee. And we had no clue how we were going to afford $50,000 a year for an employee. And now, a while later, he's making considerably more, and he's invested in our deals. But at that time, trying to write that check for $50,000, knowing that you want to hire this A player, and then you're like, oh, how am I going to afford this? And that's when that resourcefulness comes in, and you're like, all right, I got to wholesale. If I wholesale one deal and make $50,000, I cover my boy's salary. Yeah, I got taxes and whatever else, but who cares? I got $50,000. Let's do this. Let's keep it moving. So, it was crazy, man. But yeah, just using our network. A lot of our hires, we don't have many outside hires. A lot of our hires have been all of people that is we just put it to the streets. Hey man, we're looking for this position, and people come to the surface, and it's worked really, really well for us.
Who are your mentors, bro?
Who are my mentors? That's a good one. I don't know that I have because I'm not in a coaching group. I don't have any coaches. I would say my mentors are more people that I align with. As I've grown in business, it's changed from who I learned from. Early on, I had a mentor that his life was not in order, and I learned some bad stuff there. And then as I've grown, podcasts and things of those longs have become mentors of mine. But, I agree. Andy Frisilla, I love listening to him. He's almost like a mentor to me, even though I don't pay for it, right? There's another guy, Chris Powers. He does the Fort podcast, really, really good podcast. I almost view him as a mentor because he pours it all out on his podcast, and I listen to it. I'm like, man, all that stuff makes sense to me. And that's really what guides me. I've been a part of coaching groups. I've never been truly coached, but I don't have one direct mentor. I like learning from different businesses, different people, different experiences, and putting it all together, and just really valuing people that have good core values. Oh, I guess I could say John Farling. There we go. He chimed in down there. You see him?
Farling chimed in.
Yeah, I'll let him be my mentor today.
That's one of the cool things about all the information that's out there, the different platforms you can receive information. I know when I got started, it was just listening to a podcast, a free podcast. And I consider that person as my mentor. I could have paid for coaching and mentoring from him, and I should have. God, if I could go back in the time machine, the amount of time, money I would have saved. But you can have those people that are out there sharing information and knowledge and feel the effects of what it would be like to be mentored by them. So that's really cool,
Yeah. Well, and I think too many people put weight on that of yo, I gotta get a coach. I gotta get a coach. I gotta get a coach. Dude, go make some money. If you can't afford that, go figure it. There's so much free content out there. I read, I guess we're getting older in the business, right? It's only been 10 years, but I read a book on Section 8 housing, and that was yo, this is the Bible. It was literally called the Section 8 Bible. I'll throw it out there. That book changed my life. I read that book. I was like, oh shit. And then I read the Banker's Code. I'm like, wow, that's how you leverage money. I'm like, yo, George Anton's gangster, right? And those were the free things that I used. And I mean, Stratton, the first time I ever paid for any sort of coaching or any sort of group was the group that we were a part of. Never before did I ever pay for any money. And that's, dude, we built a pretty big portfolio at that point. without ever being coached, just grinding it away, figuring it out, talking to people, going to real estate events, getting on podcasts, talking to people, and just doing the thing, you know?
I got another one for you. Or how did you guys transition into commercial? Like, what did that look like? How scary was it? I mean, because again, it's like another leap of exposure.
Yeah, it was dipping the toe. It was doing consistent deals. It was swinging the bat every day. So what happened was in 2018-ish, we bought that. So we buy that 7-unit building somewhere in 2017, 18. And right around then, we kind of got capped out what we thought for us in the market in Baltimore, pricing wise. You know, we were buying shells for 25 grand. They skyrocketed to 50 grand, but rent never moved. And we're like, yo, dude, what are you guys doing? And I was like, all right. So Dan instantly and Ryan were like, yo, we're working on operations. We're going to refine all of our process. We have all these houses. We have all these tenants. We have all this stuff. And we've never formalized it. We need to formalize it. I was like, yo, dude, like this shit makes me want to like rip my eyeballs out. And I was like, all right. So like, I'm going to go do what? And doing what turned into underwriting other people's syndication deals, pulling deals from brokers. Crexy had just come online right around then. I was just every deal. I was like, yo, let me look at this. Let me look at this. And just underwriting over and over and over and over again, getting the reps in. And then finally I was like, oh shit, like it works. Yo, I was like, I got it. And I showed Dan and he's like, holy shit, it makes sense. And then like we bought it. And that's how we just did it. It was like a lot of like caution because again, we didn't want to lose what we had. It was nerve wracking to make that dip. But once we made the dip, it was like, well, a 34 unit building is really just 34 houses at once. And it's actually a lot easier to get stuff done. Cool. And then a 76 unit building came along. We're like, all right, well, we did 34 units. It's just double the size. Let's just extrapolate this data and get to the next level. So I would say just doing reps. And I used to tell people all the time, like, I would sit in the fire engine in the middle of the night. I would sit in North and Pennsy. That's where, if you guys ever watched the riots in Baltimore, that's where they burned down the CVS. I would sit there on medic runs. I'd pull this damn thing out at 2 a.m. and I would just look at deals, dude. I was just looking at deals, underwriting them. Like 2 o'clock in the morning, barely keep my eyes open. But that was my cheat code, dude. Like I was willing to work around the clock while I was at the firehouse, grinding away over and over and over again. You guys are asleep. I'm up looking at deals, trying to figure out how to make this stuff work. And finally, boom, one day it hits and off we go.
When did you guys start syndicating stuff? Like was the 76 unit the syndication?
Yep. Yeah. So that's it. So prior to that, we bought 34 units out in West Virginia, and we did that one all as debt. And we raised maybe like 600 grand in second position. It was an easy raise. And then we went to go do our first equity deal. And I was like, yo, we need $1 million. That's it to buy this $5 million, this $4 million asset or $5 million asset. This is going to be worth 10. I was like, this is a no brainer, right? 90% leverage. Lady was owner financing it. It was so blatantly obvious how to execute this business plan. I'm like, this is a no brainer. Everyone's going to give us money. I was like, all right, Dan. I said, $1 million, 40 investors, $25,000 a pop. Here's the business plan. He's like, yep, makes sense to me. Let's do it. Yo, dude, the first time we ever raised capital for equity, I was like pulling teeth. I was like, come on, man. And I just made, I don't know if you guys know Russell Brunson and like the Dream 100. I just wrote down every person that I thought had $25,000. I was like, boom, 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 boom. I started pegging people. Yo, dude, I was like begging people. And everyone was like, yeah, you know, like we seen what you done, but I don't know. Yeah, we did that. It was the same thing. Did that first big commercial deal, that first capital raise, the first recycling of capital. Dude, floodgates open. I mean, that $1 million in 2020 is now turned into $20 million raised in like 3 years, right? I think a lot of people, that first one, doing that first deal and people seeing your success is what a lot of people want to see, and having that case study. And after that, man, the floodgates opened and we've been able to raise capital. So.
And was it the recycle of capital when everybody like started coming on, or just when you did the deal?
Doing the deal, and then the first time we sent pref payments out, preferred return payments. At first that first $20,000 that went out on that preferred return, then I'll think about it. All these investors like, yeah, like they're taking a risk on us. And then I was like, well, cool. Here's your preferred return. Here's your 8% on your money. Make that first quarterly distribution. And people are like, oh, wow, this is real. It's tangible, right? And then people are like, yo, so like, what else do you got? So now we start hearing people chirping and we're like, yeah, we're looking at some deals. Like, if you have any friends that are interested, get them to play Whisper Down the Lane. We go source deals. And now you just got to match what's coming in to what kind of deals you can do.
What's the scariest deal you've ever done?
The scariest deal. Financially,
just one that made you just sweat about it, made your butthole pucker, and you were just like, dear God, like, please let this deal work out,
Yeah, so that 76 unit apartment building, I'll tell you the story. So we wrote a book about subsidized housing, and this lady who's become a very close friend, she reached out to a wholesaler friend of ours, was like, hey, I want to sell this apartment building. So he calls me and says, hey, this lady, Judy's her name, wants to sell this 76 unit apartment building. I said, well, why don't you guys want to buy it? And he's like, well, we just don't do that. And I was like, wow, that's really mature of you, because I would never in a million years do that. But okay. And he's like, by the way, she wants to owner finance 90% of it. And now, mind you, it's a $5 million purchase. And I was like, wait, what? So I like walk over to Dan's office and he's like, no way. I was like, telling you. He's like, no way. I said, fine, fuck it. I'm going to take the meeting without you. I don't know what to tell you. He's like, all right, I'll be there. So you go and meet her. Turns out, obviously, she's telling several other people like about this deal because she's trying to get the best offer, the best terms. She wants to learn from people. And we connected. I thought we connected. She decided to go with someone else. And it was like, man, bummer central. We're like, we put all that work and effort into it. And like, we were trying to figure it out. And like, we even wrote a 40-year note to give her some more money. Like, we were just trying anything to try to win. And she went with someone else. And I was just like, man, that's like really weird. Well, they started fumble fucking around and they wanted to do this like crazy structure and all this other goofy stuff. I didn't know any of this. So I pick up the phone. I said, hey, Judy, like, I know you're coming into some money. We're working on some other deals. Are you interested in investing in? And she goes, well, actually, White House didn't close. I don't know. I want to talk to you about it. It's odd that you called me. I'm like interested. I was like, oh, okay. So she called her lawyer and was like, hey, lawyer, like, I didn't sign this other contract. I think I screwed up. I want to go with Dan and Ian. And sure as shit, she's like, yo, be in the lawyer's office the next day. We were there the next day, ratify that contract. Me and Dan are sitting there like two little schoolgirls are like giggling and shit. And we're like, oh my God. And she like signs the paperwork. Like we're walking down the hallway and like we get downstairs and we get in the truck and we're like, holy shit, we did it, dude. And it was like a sigh of relief because like, we put a lot of work into it. It went to somebody else, but then we followed up and then it finally came back to us. And man, it's scary, but it was rewarding. It was like, it was an everything type deal, you know?
And that one was your big refinance that you used to finally leave?
Yep. Yep. That's the one. That dude had everything. It had marketing in it, right? Like we didn't market our book. She would have never known about us, right? Then all of our real estate experience pays off on this one deal. Owner financing, right? I could have been Pace Morby then, creative financing central, right? Like creative financing then, following up, like dude, just doing all the repetitions that we've always done getting to there, right? Like you guys know wholesaling, reps, call. Like, did you actually sell? And just the follow-up, dude, like that had everything in it. And it launched us to our next level.
What are some of your tips on raising private capital? Because I remember when the deal that we were going to do fell through and I was like, all right, I got to raise $1 million in 30 days. And that was the most brutal. Like that, bro, that was tough.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that one done, but then we got another, like, what was it? Like $500,000 raise done like 6 months later.
Yeah. I would say there's a few things. One is never act desperate. Make sure that you're coming from a position of power. A good tool for that is to apply the FOMO method. When you go to raise private capital, you want to go in there, you want to tell someone about a deal and you want to try not to take their money initially. You want to say, well, this deal is filled up. We'll catch you on the next one because now they have the fear of missing out. That's one way to get private capital in the door. Another thing is to do exactly what you're going to say you're going to do. And the last thing, and this is the most important one, I will fucking bank over before I will ever fucking investor over. That money is the most prized possession known to man. Like, it is more important than your money. It's more important than the bank money. It's more important than anything. This is your friends and family, hard-earned money, retirement money, whatever it is. They're entrusting you to put that money to work in a safe position. So having due regard, being diligent about it, and knowing that people can trust you, that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And finally, for us, doing a preferred return and being able to make distributions, making that investment real. I see a lot of syndicators that do deals, or even people that take private capital to flip houses. They're like, "Oh, I'll pay you on the end." Investment's not real, dude. Someone gives you $100,000, you give them back 108. It doesn't feel real to them. Someone gives you $100,000 and you owe them $8,000 in interest, and you pay them $700 a month every single month. That hits their bank account. They're like, that's $700 a month. I can go buy a new car and have my car payment covered, right? Like, making the investment real for somebody is equally as important.
I like that. Making it real. And are you the one who said, like, bro, send them the first one, just send them a check. Like, let them feel and see the check.
Yep. Yeah. Try to make it tangible. I mean, we've gotten away from that a little bit just because we have a platform now for our investors to log in. So it's a little less tangible on that, but early on we were mailing checks, right? We were calling them, "Hey man, did you get your distributions?" Like, all of our distributions went out just the other day, and everybody got an email notification to say, "Hey, I'm going to send you money." And then a few days later, boom, the money actually hits, and people are like, "Wow, man, like, that's real." I mean, Jason and Chris from Hard Money Bankers, they were big back in the day on going and hand delivering checks, because it's a real, people want to know that they've invested with a real down to earth person. And I know you guys are, but someone's watching this podcast and like, "Oh yeah, well, I like Stratton and Dean, but all right, I'm going to give them money." And it's like, it's not real. Like, they want to know that you're actually a real person and that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and you care about them. And again, I can't say it enough. Like, dude, that money that you take is the most important money that goes into the deals.
That was a fire. Dino, you got anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, how has your relationship with your private lenders changed over time? They just kind of like roll those funds over and keep them going? Do they not need or want the monthly checks? They just kind of want to be paid out at the end because they're like, I don't need it anymore. What does that look like?
Yeah, there's a few. So like Judy, who we bought the apartment building from and refinanced her, she's just like, "Hey, I want a once a year payment." And I'm like, we honor her wishes. But for us, we like making the monthly payments. A lot of our capital investors, once they're in a deal, like when we refinanced White House Apartments, $1 million of investor capital went back before additional proceeds. And all that $1 million went into our $12 million acquisition for a self-storage portfolio. And that was like really rewarding to watch all $1 million come out, go back to them, and then come back to us, because it was real. Again, same thing. It's like, "Hey man, you got 25 grand with me. I'm just going to roll it over to the next deal." Well, now it's just like a paper move. You're like, "Yo, is this guy really got my money? Is he fucking me? Like, is this real? Like, what is this?" Versus me saying, "Hey Dean, here's your 25 grand back. By the way, I had this deal in Baton Rouge. If you want, I reserved the availability for everybody that was in White House to come in to the Baton Rouge deal. So if you want to get in, let us know before I release it to the public." Boom, they come in, and the money went back to you, and then you send it back to me, and it's real for both of us, and it's not some bullshit paper transaction, and basically I don't want to say a farce, but people get sloppy really quick. So yeah, no, a lot of people are just continuing to roll over funds, and we always tell our investors, "Yo man, go invest in real estate. Go continue to kill." Like, our one guy's a flooring supplier. Killing it, dude. And I'll just call him up, like, "Yo, I got 200. What do you got?" I'm like, "Yo, dude, Rob, like, I don't know where else to put this money. Like, you got to give me a second." He's like, "All right, well, I'll find something else." And then I'll call him like, "Hey man, I got somewhere to put your 200. All right, cool. Well, I actually got 300 now." It's like, yo, dude, go kill your business. And I think people that want to get into real estate recognize the fact, are you good at real estate? Or do you just want to continue to do your job really good, right? Go play in the NFL and make a lot of money there and invest your money into the real estate. So when you leave your job, you have this big holdings that are producing your income. And I think that's, something good for people to recognize before they get into real estate. side by side with your original question.
So I was curious, at what point did you realize you wanted to get into self-storage? Because you cut your teeth on single family, then that rolled into some multifamily. Now you're building this rental portfolio, which on its own is very impressive and something to be proud of. But then, like, how did you even get into self-storage at that point?
Yeah, so for us it was there wasn't enough deal flow in the multifamily space because it was the natural progression to go from single family to multifamily. And here in Baltimore, we fight DC money, New York money, Philly money, Boston money, right? Like we're technically barely, not really, but in the Northeast. And we get a lot of money that chases the Baltimore market because it's affordable. So we got these New Yorkers that come in here and buy stupid cap rates, and we couldn't compete. So when we got bored in 18, dude, I started looking at like multifamily housing in Oklahoma and Texas and all these other locations. And I was like, yeah, dude, like I know what we deal with in Baltimore and it's like a special city, but like, there's a lot of shit that goes into residential real estate. If we're going to diversify outside of our market, how can we diversify outside of our market, but not have all this drama of what happens inside of residential real estate? Heat, toilets, eviction laws during COVID. And one thing that we recognized, and a few other friends of ours were getting into storage, and as we started to uncover the asset class, it provides market diversification. There's not the same urgency as there is with residential real estate, and it allowed us to invest in other markets and be a little more free and not have that headache and be able to remotely manage it from our office. And that was the one thing that we enjoyed about self-storage. And it's allowed us to expand into all these different states and create market diversity and create a brand on top of that.
Yeah, I think that's something that people will find themselves in is they'll be doing their thing and then it's maybe just not working out the same way. So they go look into something else. And what made it self-storage? Why not more multifamily? Why storage at the end of the day?
Yeah, there was a bigger runway. I think that was the number one thing. It was the ease of operations of self-storage. It was a metal box. It's something that we can easily repair and manage from afar. And more importantly, it was the runway. There was what I perceived as an unlimited runway to finding deals. And I think Stratton can vouch, he's doing great marketing and he's uncovering deals all the time. There's the mom and pop owners, dominate 70% of the market. It's probably down a little bit. It's probably closer to 60 or 65% now because there was a major compression. But, in multifamily, dude, like in the 90s, like everything went from mom and pop owners to sophistication. And that's what we're seeing inside self-storage. Everything's going from mom and pop to sophistication. Now, am I going to be the highest level of sophistication? No, but I'm going to be that bridge person from mom and pop to somewhat sophisticated. And maybe a REIT comes in and buys our storage portfolio and we have a massive exit, then fine. Someone can do it better than me. I get it. But you know what? I'm going to make money and there's enough runway for me to find properties and continue to own, operate, and even develop and build if we so choose.
But was the entire portfolio branded the same way?
Yes.
Me and Kalani have been talking about this. Like everything now is going to be one brand.
Yeah. So everything we own and operate is called Squarespace Storage. We do everything under one brand name because it's one website. It's one SEO charge. It's one marketing charge. There's the brand confusion goes away. As you have call center agents, and you bring stuff in house, it's like, hey, call center agent, you only got to answer for Squarespace Storage. You don't need to answer for Squarespace Storage, 123 Main Street Storage, all these different places. Everything just becomes easier, and you build a brand, and you can build stuff around that.
Did you start that way, or did you figure that out?
No, I went brand name early on. I have no clue why, other than my simple brain was like, screw that. I'm not having 18 different name sites. Coming out the backside of it, I was like, well, thank God we went with one name because it makes more sense. It provides streamlined operations and makes everything easier,
Yeah.
Oh,
So what's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
I knew that was going to come up as we were going down this line. What's next is continuing. So like I said, we have, and I laugh just because it's always funny because I feel like the answer is consistent, but it changes every podcast I get on depending how I'm feeling. It's 9:15 on the East Coast, so I'm feeling pretty good. We had a great day. But it's it truly is continuing to grow, own, and operate our storage portfolio, our real estate portfolio as a whole. We have 15 employees now. A lot of it, growth isn't just buying more properties anymore. Growth is watching our employees blossom, creating promotional opportunities, getting them to invest in our deals. Growth is executing on our business plans and making our capital investors what we promised to make them. Growing is also buying more and doing more and growing in that fashion. But for us, I would just say that the word is growth, and it's not just buying more. Do we have goals of getting to, we're approaching the $100 million mark of real estate assets. Do we have a goal of tripling that or getting to $1 billion? Sure. It sounds cool. We have a weekly cash flow goal that we want to get to, of distributions. Are we going to get there? I don't know, but we have a lot of career left. I think there's opportunity and there's a pathway to getting to that $1 billion number if we wanted to. When it happens, I don't know, but that's I don't want to say I'm dodging your question here, but that's what I think about a lot now. I think a lot about how do we improve our employees? How do we improve our capital investors? How do we improve our properties? How do we grow as a team together?
Mine is completely different. How do you think the guy who owns that hard money lending company, who owns all those houses out there, I don't want to drop people's names, how the hell does he manage all that?
Which one?
They own the lending company that does $1 billion a year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. Systems and teams, right? Like, just keep
have
grinding.
you gone to him? Did you go to him and hey, so what are you doing to get here when your single family portfolio is getting really big?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, Jack from Dominion. They have 700 houses here in Baltimore. They're lending billions of dollars, and yeah, as we, you guys know, it's like sports, man. You had to knock that one player over to be like, yo, what's up, dude? I'm on the field. It's the same shit. They didn't give us any respect until I hit 70, 80 houses. He's like, yo, what's up? I see you're buying a lot of stuff in my area. I'm like, yeah, what's up, Jack? How you doing? And then we build a friendship, and then we start trading ideas and processes and what are they thinking about? What am I thinking about? And a lot of the stuff is common. Again, it's all just scale, right? You talk to me about stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, Stratton, here's what I'm thinking. About storage. And you're thinking about the same thing, just not at the same scale. Right. And that's, so yeah, we started trading ideas and, it just naturally happens. But again, that's why you go to events. That's why you talk to people. That's why you, stay in tune with the real estate markets that you're in or the asset class that you're in. So you can learn from other people, and you take away, you don't always take away everything. You take away some shit, right? The group we were part of, I didn't take everything away from there, but I listened to other people to say, wow, they're doing that, but I'm going to do it like this. And here's why. And I'm going to try that. And sometimes you go crawling back and say, damn, you were right. I should have done it like this. And other times you're like, hey man, you did it this way, but I want to let you know, I tried this and this is working really well for me. I don't know if you can implement it. And it's the same thing when you're learning online and everywhere else. So, yeah, man, it's, that's why we do this. I mean, people don't realize this is a mini mastermind just for the three of us, even though we're doing a podcast. You guys are catching ideas off me. I'm catching ideas off you. And this is why we do these things. This is why we learn and talk and create communities and be with other people.
Sorry, Dino, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you about to say?
No, I was thinking to myself about how I find that people, when they get to a certain level, they go one of two ways. They're either all about themselves and they just check out and they've made it to a certain level of what they define as success. And it's it's my time now. And then there's other people that I intentionally feel like I'm putting myself around where they're looking to not only make their lives better, but other people around them better and the people that are working on their team better, you know? So where does that come from? Is that just like innately who you are? Is that like from good mentors and seeing like that is the difference maker? Like in order to maintain and continue growing, you have to level up your team and, you know, create that value. Like where does that come from?
Yeah, I think that comes from, and I'm going to whisper a little bit here because I think my kids are going to bed. I think it comes from just like being in the firehouse and like, dude, you're as strong as your weakest link, right? Like again, sports. When I played sports growing up, I played hockey. I might have been the weakest link sometimes, but the team's only as good as your weakest link, right? And if you can build that team and you know that you can go run through that front door and go put a fire out and you have no question what those other 3 guys are going to do on that fire ground or the other 10 dudes that are going to show up, and that you're like, dude, you're risking your life, right? And for me, it's like, well, man, if that guy's having a shitty day or like he's not up to par, like I might not go home today. And having all those team players on the same level or working towards the same level puts you at a better safety point. And I think it's the same thing with your real estate team. It's the same thing even with your vendors. Like, dude, how many people like don't pour into their vendors? Like, oh, whatever, the third party vendor, I'll just go find someone else. Like, no, dude, like if you see your vendor struggling with like business tactics, it's like, yo, man, like this CRM is working for me or this marketing channel is working for me. Because you want your vendors to be in business, because if they go out of business, shit, you gotta go find another one, dude. And I think a lot of it comes from the firehouse, and yeah, I guess some of it comes from the inside, but a lot of it comes from the firehouse, and you know, staying and just being able to trust other guys and knowing that if they're on their game, I'm on my game. We're all going to go home together. So, what's up, Tim? He's a fireman out in South Carolina, so he knows what I'm talking about.
Well, we've gotten a ton of interaction from your people. We haven't gotten nearly as many as from ours. We have a ton of comments from the Ian Horowitz team.
Yeah, well, you know, I just I showed up tonight. You know, I was like, I'm gonna fly to the West Coast and hang out with my boys, so I got to represent. You know, but I want to know, but it's the same thing. Like, I want to, I absolutely, you're like, yo, can you share this on your feed? You know, StreamYard's awesome. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna share it on my stream because like I want Strad to have a badass podcast and Dean to have a badass podcast. I want you guys to succeed because I want to be able to come back on your podcast. I want to like learn about the relationships. You guys might stumble on a deal that you can't do from running your podcast, and you're hopefully going to call me and say, yo, we got this crazy ass deal. How do we put it together? Right? Like, we all want each other to succeed. And I think as we all grow and evolve in business, I think it becomes more important and it comes to the forefront. And I think, you know, if you concentrate on those types of things, it all works out. So.
But where can people, have you dropped the education piece yet, the mastermind yet?
I'm going to put it in the comments. I got it queued up here. We have a free ebook on self-storage. It's called Self-Storage Secrets. You can go check that out. You can find me Equity Warehouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the majors. I'm mostly on Instagram. Feel free to hit me up. Got no problem to say what's up. Happy to help other people, or you can go with this. Yep, there we go. If you want, you can check out the free Self-Storage Secrets ebook. It'll give you all the parameters you need to get involved and go find a storage deal and get up and running and not have to pay for coaching. So,
and you guys should join if he ever does release a coaching program, Ian's, because he's helped me out so fucking much. And we bought 3 storage facilities in 6 months.
Yeah, well,
which is pretty crazy.
You guys might see it here. You know, Scott, see Scott Spears comment, and we were talking about this. He's like, "Oh, you don't have to tell me." I'm like, "Nah, I haven't sorted it all out, but we are getting closer every day." You may or may not see self-storage, the best self-storage-secrets.com coming out here shortly. There's nothing there, so don't waste your time. But if you want, you can. I don't know if that went to everybody's feed. You can go check out our free ebook, and then when we do release it, I'll be able to email you guys, let you know, or follow us at Equity Warehouse, and you will see more information about it, man. So,
and where can people find you? Equity Warehouse on Instagram.
Equity Warehouse on Instagram. My name on Facebook, or our company. Best place is if you find our company, you'll eventually get to me. And I'm pretty transparent, happy to help. Stratton knows, Dean knows, call me up, happy to talk. And, if we're all successful in real estate investing, it just makes the market better and we all make a few more dollars.
And what are some of your parting words for everybody?
Swing the fucking bat. If you're sitting here and you're paralyzed and you don't know what to do, just go swing the bat, figure it out, find a deal that you're not scared to lose money on. Or if you're in a bad place, just remember it can't be worse than where you ended, where you started. Go out and swing the bat. And if you're already doing real estate, continue to swing the bat. Don't ever stop. Continue to grow. By growing, it gives you more opportunities, and having more opportunities is going to allow you to help more people. So don't ever stop. Continue on, and see you all out there.
Hell yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please do not forget to go hit that like and subscribe button. If you're listening to this on the podcast app, go give us a 5-star review. And if you're listening to this, we haven't done a Deal Champs review in forever, but you can submit your deal. If you think you had a juicy deal that you did, go to deanrogers.com/podcast so we can see the deal, break it down, come on the podcast. What's our biggest one so far? Do you know? 100-something thousand?
It's like 140 or something like that. Yeah.
Like $140,000 Simon fee, which is that's a hefty one.
Fatty.
Right? That's a real fatty. Don't forget to follow Ian at Equity Warehouse, at Dean Rogers Real Estate, and at Strat Daddy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next week.